Hello and good morning to all of you. Today we are going to discuss classes and objects in Python programming. So basically we'll be discussing what a class and object in Python is. Then we'll be reviewing the syntax for writing a class in Python, how to add attributes to a class, how to access those attributes, how to assign values to those attributes, and then finally at the end of the session we'll be learning how to create a method or a function in a class in Python with the help of a parameter known as self parameter. So let me just begin by discussing with you how to create a class. Here I've declared a class test and I've not mentioned any attributes or any statements in this class. So basically I'm dealing with an empty class. So if I run this program, then you can see that the class is created. Now let us take a more appropriate example in which I declare a class ABC which prints a message, welcome to classes and objects, when an object of that class is created or when the class is instantiated. So here we also see the syntax to create an object of a class in Python, which is different from the objects that you've created in C++. Remember in C++ we had the new operator to create the object of the class, but here in Python the syntax is very simple, that an object name is equal to a class name would create an object in Python and the class would be instantiated. If I run this program now, I think you can see that the welcome to classes and objects message is printed on the screen. Let me take another example for you in which I create a class with attributes. Now the class rect has attributes L and B with initial values as 0. So once I create an object of the class and I print the initial values, then of course the values of L and B would be printed as 0 and 0 respectively. And then I can also assign values to these attributes. This is how I do it: object name dot attribute name equal to value. I think the syntax is similar to whatever you've learned in C++ in the previous semester. So if I run this program now, you can see that first the initial attributes are printed, that is the values of L and B initially, and then the assigned values of L and B are printed. Let me now take another example for you guys in which we take a full-fledged class with a method in it. Now this class rect has two attributes L and B with values as 10 and 10, and if I want to use these values, then I need to use the self parameter. Now what is this self parameter? Self parameter in Python refers to the instance of the class itself, that is, it refers to the current object. It is something similar to the this pointer in C++ that you've learned, and to a reference known as this reference in Java. Now this function area has got three attributes: self, L and B. But while you are calling this function, you will only be passing two arguments, because this self parameter is mandatory for every function or method which is created inside a class. That is also the difference between a normal Python function and a member function of a class in Python. So if I run this program now and I call this area method with the help of the object ob1, what is the output that you predict? Is it 30 because 5 and 6 is passed to L and B respectively? But remember, we are not using these local variables L and B, the arguments. We are using the attributes. So to use the attributes, you prefix them with the word self. So obviously the answer here would be 100. Now let me just modify this code for you and just simply write L and B. So as you've learned in C++, that the local variable has got the preference over the class attribute or the external variable. So now in this case the answer would be 30. So you can see the effect of the self parameter in Python. And remember, to declare a member function or a method inside a class, you would always require the first parameter as a self parameter. Now, another question that students ask is, do we need to, mandatorily or compulsorily pick up this name as self? No, you can take any other name that you wish. For example, I can use a name Ajay here as the first argument, and obviously there won't be any problem with the output. So the question would be, why to take it as self? Because I think it would be easier for you to take self as this parameter, because if any other programmer or coder is using your code, he or she can understand instantly that this self parameter is the first argument which is required to declare the method in class in Python, and there would not be any confusion. This is all for this session of classes and objects. I'll come up with more content in my future lectures. Thank you.